Here we are again, folks. It's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. This is a challenge. This is going to be a 15-minute challenge to you to study this chapter of the Bible in 1 Kings chapter 12, to study it in its full content, and that would take years. It would take months. It would take weeks. It would take a long period of time, because when you do it, you have to keep going back. For instance, when you see words in the Bible, like Edom. Edom was a picture of the world. and when you see a picture, a word that has a picture in it, you can go back and find out the first time that was mentioned, where that came from, and who they were, and who the Edomites were, and who they were. And by the way, when we're going to look right now today, we're going to look in chapter 12 a little bit, but we're going to look at a division. In the United States of America, back in the 1860s, there was a war. And that war was between the United States, the North and the South. Well, that is the same thing that happened over here in Israel. Judah was the nation out there, and Israel was a nation within a nation. So let's look at Judah like it was the country, and Israel like it was the city. And here's the country and the city joined together. They're hand in hand. And when Solomon came on the scene, they were hand in hand. And this is called the David's kingdom. This was when David was on the scene too. And the first king in Israel was Jeroboam, number 1. And Jeroboam drew a reproach from God. And because he did, he's going to get himself in trouble. And believe it or not, so did Rehoboam. And Rehoboam was on the other side. But here's two guys that are kings over the double piece of land, just like our men were back in the day when the two parts of the states were divided as North and South. And at one time, they had to dissolve that. Well, that got dissolved. And now the North and South, they talk a lot about each other with their mouth, but they essentially get along. There is no slinging bullets back and forth across the borders of Virginia and West Virginia and the middle states. And so that Rehoboam was going to give a foolish response to what God wanted him to do. And there's some things in here. I don't hardly know where to start. There's so much of it. But my first way I would say to you is, remember, Israel is God's chosen city. The Israelite children, the Hebrew children, are God's chosen children. But remember this, when God had to come against Jerusalem and Israel with another king and bring down soldiers and tear the walls down and make them start over again, he would do it, and did do it, and did do it. He did it. And so the prophets sinned. And when the prophets sinned, they brought the reproach of God on the people. And now that Jeroboam, when he built up the city of Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and it began being his capital. Later he went and built up a town in Peniel. And Jeroboam thought to himself, unless I am careful, the king will return to destroy the city of David. Now, that was in chapter 13, verses 25 through 27. Now, here's two kings, and they're beginning now to see that they are going to be enemies. They are going to fight, and they're going to be enemies. And by the way, after they had their reign and their rule, we see that Israel itself had Jeroboam number 1, was the first king. And then if you look at these, go down through, get your Bible, list them, and see where they were in 1 Kings. You'll find them in 1 Kings to start with. And 1 and 2 Kings lists the kings. Now, first place is, God said you don't need a king. I'm your king. And the people said, but God. And they told the head people there of the day, Moses or whoever was his predecessor, and they told him, look, this is not what we want. We want a king. He said, all right, God will give you a king. So he did. Jeroboam, and then Nadab, and then Baasha, and then Elah, and then Zimri, Omri, Ahaz, Jeram, Jehu, Jahaz, Joseph, and then here comes Jeroboam number 2. Now Jeroboam number 2 in 2 Kings 14, 23 through 39. Study that. Look at it. See what you think. Write these things down. And then go down through. There was Zechariah, Shalom, Neham, Pekah, and then Hosea. And this is 2 Kings 15, 30 through 17 and 6. Study those scriptures. Study those scriptures. This is not for the average person today. This particular setting right here today is to challenge one of you Old Testament buffs or studiers to study that. I would love to see an excerpt on the YouTube from you about this. You can get on 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can get on yourself. If you think this right here is serving the purpose of God, you can serve the purpose of God too. If you're a Bible study and you have the Bible in your head, in your heart, and you can put it out on the YouTube. Put it out so those can get it. There's going to be a day when it will be used. It may be in the millennium, but there's going to be a day it will be used. Listen, I'm putting on these excerpts right now what the children of Israel know, yet they reject it. Come the millennium now, they're going to accept it. Eventually, they're going to accept it. But the only way they're going to accept it is to hear it. And how they're going to hear it? There's either going to be a group, which there is, there's going to be 144,000 Jewish missionaries, and I'm believing they're Messianic Jewish missionaries, have never touched a woman, they're virgins, and God's going to send them in. That talks about it. Well, anyway, over on the rule of Judah, on the other side of Israel, here we split the land right down the middle, right down there like that. And then we got Judah over there, and Rehoboam, and Abijah, and Asia. And see, these are the kings of the earth. These were the kings, physical kings of the earth that thought they were something, and that's how they were kings. And Jehoshaphat and Joram, and there was a couple of good ones. There was a couple in here that were good guys, that were actually good guys. We've had some good presidents. We've had some good presidents. We've also had some that were sent by the devil. And there was Joash, Amaziah, Azar, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah. He's interested. He's interested. Manasseh. He's interested. He's interested. Amon, Joash. He's interested. Jahaz too. Shechem. Hey, these guys are interesting. You want to do some studies? Just like you were reading some novels at home. Read them. And I love the fact that this last guy, Zadok, his name was Mathana. I love that fact. He's the last guy that came in over there, and it kind of reminded me of the disciple that took the place of Judas. And the rule of the kings, if you're going to study kings, you're going to have to get into it. Buy you some books. Buy you some charts. Buy you some stuff that is proper, is right, that gives you the story of what you're studying. And learn it. Learn it. Learn it. I wished that I could quote, bang, 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 the 12 disciples. I wished that I could quote the 24 elders. I wished I could quote the 12 sons of Jacob, one right behind the other. But my wish is if there were horses, we'd all take a ride. I can't do that. I can only do what God gave me to do. And what God gave me the ability to remember is the only thing I can remember. But I would love to, when I get to heaven, And I'm going to be able to do it with some. Hey, Brother John. Hey, Brother Paul. Hey, Brother Timothy. Huh? Hey, Matthew. Hey, Peter. I want the first year that I'm up here with you. I'm a Peter too. And I'm like you. I'm always taking one foot out and putting the other one in. But I love Peter's faith. You know, Peter said, people say, well, he sunk in the water. Yeah, but he's the only one that stepped out of the ship. In the day of Pentecost, who did God use? Who did Jesus use the day of Pentecost? All of them guys, they were filled with the Spirit and they were bold. But who stepped up? Peter stepped up to bat. And he preached a message that all 70 of those dialects that were there that day could hear in their own language. You say, what was the miracle of tongues in that day, Brother Peter? I said, I'll tell you. You know what they were? Everybody heard in their own tongue. 70 different dialects of people, and they all heard one man speak in their own tongue. You think he was speaking 70 languages? No. He was speaking their language before the Tower of Babel. And God opened the ears of those people to hear the original language that was put on this earth where everybody knew what everybody said. Study it, my friends. Study this out. Look at it. Find out what you're in. Find out what God has left you for you. You want to have fun? Turn the late show off and turn the Bible on. Turn the early show off and turn the Bible on. When you're going to work in the morning, put on a Christian radio station or a Bible reading tape. I never get in my truck. I got the Bible on tape in my truck. I got the Bible on tape in my car. I got the Bible on tape in my downstairs workroom. I got the Bible on tape in my downstairs exercise room. I got the Bible on tape in my upstairs library. I got it in my bedroom beside my bed. I got it right here beside this place right here. I haven't got one in my pocket right now, but I usually got one in my pocket. I can stick in a tape recorder when I get near one and listen to it. Listen to the Bible. Listen to it. You say, well, I don't know what he's saying. Well, you will. You listen to it enough times, you will. You listen to 1 Kings on tape 2 or 3 times, and then you open your Bible up and you start reading it. You're going to say, wow, man, I see that. I see that. I see that. I see that. Wow. What a battle. I see people going all the time. I go buy Christian books everywhere I go. I go to old secondhand bookstore and secondhand stuff, and I buy a Christian book. But I see people buying, man, this is a good novel, they say. I say, hey, this is a better one. Right here in the Bible. Here's a novel. 1 Kings chapter 12. It's a novel within itself. If you'll read it, study it, look at it, listen to it. It's a novel within itself. If you think C.S. Lewis is a writer, what about God? I love C.S. Lewis too. I think he was a champion. He was a champion put together writer. But no, he didn't weigh a candle against God. And God put this Bible together. And by the way, you cannot find a disagreement in this Bible anywhere. You will not find a disagreement in this Bible. It all agrees with each other. From Genesis 1 to Revelation, the last book of Revelation 21. It is the same theme. Same thing. It's all about the Son of God coming, Jesus Christ, to save the world. If you've never asked Him to forgive you of your sin, come in your heart. It's time to do it. Say, God, I am a sinner. Come in my heart and save my soul. It's time to do it right now. You say, well, I don't know what I'd be doing, Brother Peter. Well, I didn't know what I was doing either when I did it. But God did. He came into my heart, and that was 1972, November 5th, 3 o'clock in the morning. I haven't took a drink or swore a cuss word from that day to this. And I was an alcoholic and a cusser. Figure that one out. And I've been in the Bible every day since then. And I plan on staying in it until the day I die. See you next time, Brother Peter, with a word from God, tidbits.